To lead in a world that never stops evolving, you need insights from those who are driving change. Welcome to Breakthrough Innovations, where we bring together the top leaders and innovators who are reshaping their industries. I'm JL Heather, the Principal Executive Coach at Center, and in each episode I sit down with game-changing executives who share the strategies, insights, and challenges that fuel their success. In the next 20 minutes, you'll gain practical takeaways to drive your own breakthroughs. So if you're ready to stay ahead, join us here on Breakthrough Innovations. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Breakthrough Innovation. With us today is Nick Newell, the VP of Engineering at MySwimPro, the #1 fitness app and personal coach for swimmers. Nick is a proud father, a loving husband, an independent filmmaker, and a movie geek. Most importantly to us, however, Nick absolutely has innovation in his DNA. He loves to innovate on the back of a napkin, all the way up to scaled agile and hacking growth. He innovates technology from virtual reality television to social media platforms to virus detection drones. But most importantly, he tries to inspire innovation in others with patent harvesting sessions, hackathons, innovation medleys, and moonshot goals. Just to give you an idea of the pure scope of what Nick has achieved, he has 114 patents, US patents, 19 global patents. He's inspired innovation for over 400 employees and built Flexpert, Dish's first lean startup. He created the first consumer poolside iPhone coach in one of many innovation sprints at MySwimPro. He started and led the growth team at MySwimPro to execute 20 plus A/B experiments per quarter. Nick, I don't know that we've talked to anyone with this level of innovation experience on the show yet, so I can't thank you enough for being here, and we are absolutely thrilled to have you on the show.
Wow, that's quite the intro. Thank you so much for having me. I promise that intro made me sound a lot smarter than I really am, but I'm flattered. So thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
No problem. We'll add humble to your list of qualifications. To kick things off, Nick, maybe tell us a little bit about the journey that brought you to where you are and how you got started in your current role.
So I started my career at Dish. I spent 17 years at Dish Network as an engineer and then grew on to be a manager and a leader. And I have to credit Dish for giving me my love for innovation. They have a fantastic patent program there at Dish. That's where all of the patents that I have are from. And it really kind of gave me the opportunity to share ideas. And so I fully took advantage of that. As you mentioned, I have 114 US patents. So I did a variety of different patents there and also kind of went on to create an innovation program there. So to me, there's a little bit of a difference between invention and innovation. They're closely, absolutely. But I got to do invention, which is patents, but also innovation, which allowed me to share with hundreds of people a process where you can make space, make time, make energy for innovation, and actually build things with your hands and learn new skills and techniques and do design sprints and hackathons and all that good stuff. And so I got to do that for many, many years. I brought that to MySwimPro. It's a swimming company. And so we called them innovation medleys. Any swimmers out there, that's an IM, okay, pun intended. So we do those there as well. And we try to do them like live when we're at retreats. We go to retreats in Spain and Thailand and everywhere, and we do those live and in person, and we build some pretty awesome things that way. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And I love how you talk about using your hands. Like so much of innovation is that tactile involvement that accesses different parts of your brain. So I love that. We've already got the first nice little insight there. I am curious, so you talk about inspiring innovation in others, which is really what this podcast is about. When you think about inspiring innovation in others, like how does that work? What's your approach? Like, how do you get to people?
Yeah, two things. So the first one, that's a great question. First one is the leadership team. So I'm a leader at MySwimPro and was at Dish, but the leadership team needs to make time and space for it. I know that sounds obvious, but if you don't make time for it, it likely is going to get overridden by the regular day-to-day of a business. So you got to make time. And the environment is a big deal. Making space for it is more than just like physically a room. You got to have the right tools. You got to have the right energy. Sometimes that means the right music and the right vibes and the right ambiance and all of that stuff. I like to think that great ideas come when things collide. I watched a YouTube video many moons ago. I can't believe it. I can't remember what it was called, but great ideas happen when things collide. So if you just sit in a room by yourself, you may have a great idea, but it's probably not going to unearth itself. That idea needs to collide with somebody else. So if you just get two people in a room, that's when most of the magic happens. I had some of my best inventions and innovations, probably the best ones, were when I got in the room with another person or two or three folks. So you make the time, you make the space, and you kind of create the right ambiance. and sparks are going to fly. You're going to have some amazing things happen. You can't really, you can, but you can't really just sit there and stare at the wall and ponder life. Usually that's how great things happen. You need ideas to collide.
Yeah, and that requires like a diversity of thought and experience.
Absolutely. Yeah, diversity and perspective is one of our key values at, excuse me, I took a drink of water. One of our key values at MySwimPro. And yes, absolutely, you're going to get the best ideas with diversity.
Yeah, and I think in my experience, a lot of times what organizations miss is that cross-functional approach. Not even just that diversity of experience, but ensuring that it's not just a group of engineers in a room, but you have someone from sales, or you have someone maybe from even HR or accounting or whatever. But getting that diversity, and maybe one of the biggest things that holds people back is they feel like my role isn't about innovation, right? I'm just here to crunch the numbers. I'm just here to type the code. I'm just here to sell the thing. And they talk themselves out of it.
Absolutely. Yes, for sure. So we don't have a huge team at MySwimPro, but we do have half of our company is marketing and social media. And those folks that I typically wouldn't interact with if I was in a quote unquote innovation sprint. And yes, some of the best ideas we've had were all of us got in the room or at the pool. We spent a lot of our time at the pool because that's where we think of ideas for swimmers. And we have some amazing collisions of ideas with marketing and sales and social media and different areas that frankly bring out the best ideas in engineers. Because you're right. Many engineers in particular, I can see this because I'm an engineer. You'll just kind of sit in your chair, stay focused on your lane and say, well, how could I possibly have an amazing idea? I'm just an engineer. Or I'm just an engineering manager. Everybody has amazing ideas. Sometimes you're just afraid to let it loose. So yes, if you get with the right person that can just bring that out of you and get you excited and I guess give you the courage to share that out loud, some amazing things can happen for sure.
Yeah, no, I think that's fantastic. So MySwimPro has definitely been growing and successful. I'm curious, as you've grown, what are some of the challenges, that you're facing to keep innovation alive in your organization, or maybe in general at any organization? And how are you tackling those challenges?
Yeah, so I'll go back to what I said a little bit earlier. It's having the forethought to stick to the system, to the discipline to sticking to the system. I just finished reading Clayton Christensen's second book, The Innovative Solution, and he specifically hits on how do you make innovation predictable? Now, this is kind of an oxymoron. A lot of people think of predictable and innovation as being two opposite things. But ideally in business, we're trying to make something as chaotic as innovation predictable because then we can harness it. We can take advantage of it. And so also kind of counterintuitively, you have to have the discipline to continue to do it on a recurring basis. And so at MySwimPro, I think we do 2 a year. We do 2 innovation medleys a year. It doesn't have to be every month, doesn't have to be every week. If you make the space for it maybe once a quarter or once every 6 months and you stick to it, then you can hold yourself accountable to ensuring that it's a long-term thing, that it remains part of your DNA. Because otherwise we get busy, right? We get busy, we get in the day-to-day, we've got the features we have to build for the product and all of that stuff, which is also important. So coming all the way back to my original thought as well, you got to make time and space for it. So that to me is the answer to how do you keep it consistently going long-term. Have the discipline, make it part of your regular cadence, whether it's every month or 3 months or 6 months, and then just stick to it. Don't ever let go. Just keep doing it.
Yeah. It's so funny because I hear so many creative people who will talk about their creative process and like ideas in the shower and they need time and everything. And what I've found, and I'm curious about your experiences, is more often when you put a really good time constraint around things like a design sprint of 5 days or 2 days, that really gets the creative juices flowing and you get maybe some of the best innovation with the time constraint rather than without.
Absolutely. That's just human beings, right? Human beings in general. We have a couple of kids, getting them to do their homework and do their chores and everything. As adults, we like to think we're way different than our kids are, but we're not, right? We're all human beings. And it's the same thing. When you put a time constraint on anything, regardless of what age, it brings out the best in people. When the tough kids go and get tough, it really is like, okay, I only have until Friday to get this thing done. Let's go. Let's take action and get after it. So absolutely. Some of these things can seem counterintuitive. You're like, all right, well, if we make time for it and we set a deadline of it, how can we possibly have our best ideas? But I promise you it does work. I've seen it work time and time again.
Oh yeah. No, I love that. And I think, one of the things when you talk about like the design sprints or the innovation medleys, the results of those events depend on the people. So I'm curious, when you're looking at people, whether it's hiring or people to include in an innovation sprint, how do you decide, like, what qualities are you looking for? How do you decide this person over this? Because, you have to keep it small. It can't be everyone. So how do you pick and choose?
Love that question. I love it so much. And you mentioned on the onset of the call, even though I didn't prompt you about humility, but that's my answer, is being humble, because being humble means that you don't necessarily think that you have the best idea on the planet, and you're willing to let some good ideas that you have collide with others and also grow into something that's different. And so also, again, counterintuitively, just being able to use your ears and listen and hear what another person is telling you and find the best, like find the truth in that thing that the person is telling you and say, oh, okay. Because normally we jump to conclusions. Somebody will tell us something, and especially during innovation, like I'm a proud person and I like to think I have good ideas. We're always very anxious to say what we think is the best idea ever, and therefore we're not listening. So we are looking for folks to join our team, whether it's permanently or in an innovation medley or whatever. I encourage everyone to listen first and really try and find the truth in what the other person is saying, and then they will reciprocate that. You're like, oh, great idea. You know what I love about that idea is this piece. How can we extend that? And then you get to talking and they're like, oh, I love that idea that you just said. And so just being able to listen and really find the greatness in another idea that somebody else has, I think that humility and acknowledging that that may be better than the idea that you have is going to make your idea even better when you let those collide and then you form something that's amazing.
I can't remember what book I pulled this from, but the concept of some of the best people are humble, hungry, and smart.
Okay. I haven't read that
Yeah.
one, but 100%. I read a similar book years ago. I think it was from Good to Great. I think that book, I may be misquoting it. It's like 20 years ago, but the two characteristics they said of greatness were humility and fierce resolve. The ability to stick to it, be persistent, and work hard until the end. Those two characteristics. And humility is kind of a buzzword out there.
Yeah.
And I've been searching for true humility my whole life. And I really do believe that if you can find that inner humble and really, I always as well say you have two ears and one mouth, use them proportionately. Right. So you should be listening twice as much as you're talking and open to the idea that other people probably have better ideas than you. And you can use that to your advantage for sure to make an even better idea.
Oh, absolutely. And I do think listening is a underdeveloped skill for most people. So I think that's a great approach, a great thing to keep in mind when you're talking about these. And that humble paired with listening that's what's going to let you actually build off each other's ideas and come up to something that we created rather than something I created. Love it. Yep. Love it.
Yep.
All right. So we're getting close to the end, Nick. This one I think is going to be a lot of fun. I'm curious, out of all your patents, what are one of the ones that never quite made it or never got built that you have a story for?
Okay, perfect. I have a short story for this. I'm going to give you a warning, though. It's going to be serious, but in the spirit of changing the world, okay, through innovation. So one patent that I have is called Smell Sensor of a Service. It never got built, but imagine this. It's an Internet of Things network of sensors, and the sensor is built like a dog's nose, and the thing it is detecting is gunpowder. And the reason it's detecting gunpowder is to prevent public shootings, school shootings, in public places. I live in Denver, Colorado. I have an investment property in Littleton, Colorado. Many know Littleton, Colorado because of Columbine. We also have Arapahoe High School, which is a couple blocks from my house and a place where unfortunately another shooting was. And this invention could literally change the world if it just got out to the world and allowed. So what it does is you put these little tiny sensors in the ground. Dogs can smell things like gunpowder hundreds of feet away. So with a couple dozen sensors around the perimeter of a school, you could determine that there was a gun nearby and shut down the entire school before anybody else got close to it. Innovation, I feel, sorry to be kind of a bridge to the show, but I really think that in a lot of cases, unfortunately, innovation isn't taken to the full extent where it could be and used for the better, unfortunately, for a variety of reasons. But that's one that really is near and dear to my heart. And I'm hoping someday somebody hears that and thinks, oh, that's a fantastic idea. How might we be able to build that? And for anybody out there who has ideas like that and is thinking, man, if I just shared this with somebody, maybe something could get built, don't be afraid to speak up, because you probably the next great idea that's going to change somebody's life or maybe even save somebody's life. So don't be afraid to share it.
Well, and I think what I love about that story is the best innovations are centered around a true large human need.
Yep.
Right. And if you can identify that need first in whatever form it takes, whether it's a snappy how might we statement or whatever, finding that human need and putting it at the core of your innovative initiative is a really powerful thing. And that's what inspires people. That's what
Absolutely.
really motivates people. So I love that. I think that's a great one. I hope someday gets built and
Someday.
implemented. That would be fantastic.
Absolutely. I agree. Yep.
So Nick, as we're wrapping up, what's the best way for people to connect with you, to collaborate with you?
Yeah. So probably the best way is LinkedIn. So please find me on LinkedIn. My last name is Newell, Nick Newell. I have my personal email address in there as well. So you can always hit my LinkedIn profile, reach out to me. Please, I would love to hear from any. I love to, as I said earlier, I love to bounce ideas off. And if you think I could be a sounding board for you and help you form the next great idea, look me up, send me an email, hit me up on LinkedIn. I'd love to chat.
I love it. Nick, this was a fantastic conversation. I'm really grateful to have had you on the show and to benefit from your insights. For anyone who actually made it to the end with us, I hope this episode brought you some value, and I hope you'll consider leaving a rating or a review on whatever platform you listened on. And if you know anyone that is really looking for some super innovation support, send this episode to them. And remember, take one actionable insight from today, apply it, and let us know how it goes. We'd love to hear about your progress. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time on Breakthrough Innovation.